Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells. We will have Coach Williams with us shortly, but it's Tuesday afternoon. That means it's another edition of Recruiting Intel. Justin, you'll be on the road gathering that recruiting intel, and the best way to get it is to go to InsideTexas.com. Use the promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of Inside Texas access for just $1, as there are several 2025 prospects that we got to talk about as the Longhorns march toward a top 5, top 3, top 2 class. So this one's going to be a lot of fun. We got some visitors to talk about from the ULM game, some of whom will be making their way back to Austin. We got some other visitors who will be making their way to Texas in the coming weeks. Justin, it's a pretty fun time to cover recruiting. Like, there's some 2026s we know we need to take some interest in. They've got 3 in the class, but 2025 is heating up, and there are going to be some great opportunities with SEC play for Texas to really host a lot of visitors, put some best feet forward, I guess to say.
Yeah, like right now is a fun time to cover recruiting. If you're Steve Sarkisian and you're Chris Gilbert and Brandon Harris and all those guys on the recruiting staff, John Michael Jones, you're loving life right now, because to recruit a program that's number 1 in the country, that's a lot of fun. That makes your job slightly less stressful in some aspects. In some, it might actually compound it. But on the regular basis, it's a good time to be in Austin right now. Look, start playing the long game with these kids in 25. This is one reason he does it, because he knows he can get greater evaluations later in the year. He can figure out kids, see where they're going to sit in early in their recruitment, and then know how to strike late. And so in 2025, man, we're talking to – I think it's going to be a top 3 class, Joe. I really do. The numbers are going to bear that out, but I do think it's going to be a top 3 class. And then for 2026, all the time people ask us, what kind of effect does this game this year, the Michigan game, have on 2025s and starting off 4-0? It really, the 25s are already in gather mode. I mean, they've already got their information. It's the 26s that I think is making the biggest impression. They're in that gathering information mode. And like you said, there was a couple guys here for ULM, some 2026s that are squarely on the board. But right now, we're 2025 in it, because this team could actually have a top 3 class. There's some defensive linemen that they want to some more D linemen they want to flip. They got a couple commitments coming into town this weekend. And so it's a fun time right now. Texas is riding high, and we have seen when Texas is rolling, recruiting is rolling.
And as our good friend laces out, Mike explains, top 3 class without a 5-star quarterback is bananas. Some of that's the Arch Manning effect, as we are very well aware of. But a 5-star quarterback is, of course, you want to have those in your classes. But 5 stars are what weigh heavily in those recruiting rankings. So even if you don't have a 5-star quarterback, if you have a nice volume of 5 stars, that's what's going to boost you in the rankings.
This guy was Trey Owens last year.
Right, exactly. And this, at the same time, KJ Lacey still remains in the top 300, I think, of pretty much all the services, hanging on in the on 300. So it's not like they're getting scrubbed. They're still bringing in. And then, to your point, wait till 2026 when Dia Bell is the number 1 quarterback in the country. There was a visitor this past weekend that we do need to talk about. That is Malcolm Simpson, who was formerly Jonah Williams' teammate, is now at Hitchcock, teammates with Kelshawn Johnson. I forget the quarterback's name, who's going to
Boy Jones.
Yeah, but he made his way. This is a Nebraska commit. Texas is going to be taking a pretty sizable, in multiple ways, defensive tackle class, and this is one they may also want to try to get into the class. So, what are your impressions from Simpson about his recent visit to Texas?
Yeah, I was able to catch up with Simpson during the game on Saturday night, and this was his first time to hit a Texas game, and he really wanted to do that. And to tell you to understand Malcolm Simpson, understand this: every time he says something, he wants people to understand he is solid to Nebraska, and he does that out of respect. He really, really wants to be respectful to the Nebraska staff. Some kids and recruits, they don't care as much. They'll commit to a school, they'll go visit another, and they'll talk loosely about both. Malcolm is very conscious of what he says because he really does love the Nebraska staff and he wants to be respectful. That being said, Texas is not recruiting in a respectful. They're ready to take this kid. 6'3", 270 pounds, multi-sport kid, really good on the basketball floor. And you know me, that's an immediate attraction. And it's that athleticism that I think is an excellent floor for this kid. He loved it. He said his biggest impression was, man, it was loud. He got to hang out with Sark. He got to hang out with Kenny Baker for about an hour after the game. That was really big because I think Baker has done a great job kind of getting into this recruitment in the last few months. I think that Jonah Williams ceremony was kind of it wasn't the start of it, but it was once that happened, I think this was the next domino. They were going to go right after Simpson as soon as Jonah did because they knew there's a little connection there. But Nebraska is doing a really good job hanging on to their guys. Like right now, you got to give them respect. And they're playing good football. They're playing competitive football. If you don't notice what's happened in Lincoln, Matt Rule's got it running. That place is they're only going to get better, especially at quarterback. And so Malcolm Simpson's a big kid, man. Big kid. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of time. He's going to come back for the Texas and Georgia game. I believe he's going to make that his official visit. And I think that's probably when he's going to get offered. Texas is the one school that he doesn't have an offer from that he really wants. And so once that happens, I'm going to say it's a matter of time. But again, that's not for Malcolm. That's for me. He wants to make sure Nebraska coaches are always being respected. Same with Texas and a lot of their kids. But I like Simpson and Texas a lot. This thing, they've been doing this dance for a few months now, and Saturday only helped the cause.
A lot of built-in relationships, whether that's Texas making stops at Hitchcock for Kelshawn Johnson, or that's Texas making stops at Galveston Ball for Jonah Williams. They've seen him. They know what he's like, and they're going to stay in pursuit of him. Roger G brings up a good question about the next guy we want to talk about. That's Chase Sims at Richmond Randall. If Texas flips Chase Sims, how many spots remain at defensive tackle? You know, they have Josiah Sharma. They have Myron Charles. This may be a class where, you know, you're losing Bill Norton, Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, Jermaine Lollet, I think Tia Savea as well. It may get that big, and they may want more as well.
Hey, I'm going to break some news on our live intel today because that's how Inside Texas rolls. They're going to take more than 4 defensive linemen. If they flip Chase Sims, that's going to give them 3 to join Charles and Sharma, like you said. And Sharma's going to be on campus actually Saturday for the game. I think they get 2 more. I think you're right. You had the number 5. You were right. I didn't mean to leave you hanging. That I'm telling you, I do think that's going to be the number because they have to restock the cupboard. There are certain things going on in the program right now that lead us to believe there's going to be 5 guys coming in this cycle, and they still might have to go to the portal for another one. But it won't be like last year. This is going to be that foundation for Kenny Baker in his first true class. If they flip Sims, they're going to take 2 more after that. They're going to stay on Malcolm Simpson. I love the idea of them flipping him. And then they've still got these Georgia kids they're paying attention to. Joseph Mbachu, Kevin Wynn, Walter Mathis Jr. They're still swinging for those guys. Those guys are going to be back on campus soon. So great question, Roger. I think the number is going to be 5. And look, if Sharma and Charles and Simpson and Sims, guys, that is an outstanding class. Anybody that wants to give Kenny Baker crap needs to stop because that right there, he's finally found his footing. He's finally found his mark when it comes to building these relationships. I think it's going to be 5 in 2025. 5.
You know, all these kids are they're going to get tickets to the game. They're going to get them via the university. We are not so lucky as to get tickets given to us by Texas. So if you need tickets, you need to go to the Game Time app or head to gametime.co this weekend. You know how visitors sit in that upper deck section over in at DKR? I don't think Mississippi State's going to fill that section. And I took a look on Game Time, and I saw a lot of available seats in that area of DKR. So Mississippi State's going to have their lower level area, SEC rule. They get some of the upper level area, and I don't think they're going to fill them all. They have made their way to Game Time. So you need to make your way to Game Time. Download the app, use the code ON3, and get $20 off your first purchase. You see the full all-in price. You see the view. And if you're up there way in the, what was that be? The northeast corner, you see the scoreboard. You see everything. You see the sunset kind of in your eyes. You see the city of Austin. It is it's a great vantage point. There's no bad seat in that stadium, and there are no bad seats up there. So make sure you go to gametime.co, use the Game Time app, use the promo code ON3, ON3, get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply, but Game Time is the best place for tickets. It is Game Time. And it's also Game Time for our guy, Coach Dub, Charlie Williams. Thank you for joining us. He just wrote something great over on Inside Texas.
Yeah, he did.
100% recruiting related, but a little bit recruiting related as well. And I'm going to throw this your way, Coach. I know that a lot of your people in personnel departments and around the country are definitely tracking that house case. Has not been agreed to yet, but Justin and I were just talking about how Texas can probably take 5 and maybe even 6 defensive tackles in this class from high school. If the scholarship limit goes up from 85 to 105, it feels like you're going to see teams take more numbers across the board, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And getting players in the trenches is always a good thing because you can kind of house those guys and put them on the back burner and develop them. And when they're ready, have them rotate and play. I think some of the best teams have a number of guys in the trenches that they can rotate and keep fresh. Like you look at Texas now, with the upperclassmen combined with the lower underclassmen, the way they're able to rotate and have those guys and develop and play them, it keeps them fresh, man. It keeps them where they can dominate. And so having those extra guys, being to have extra guys on scholarship, man, it's not going to do anything but help every program, especially a place like Texas, who has the resources, who can have those guys, right? Like everybody won't be able to take advantage of that. But Texas can, and it's going to be an advantage, man. And for years to come, man, we don't ever worry about any other position. But if you can stockpile guys in the trenches, it's going to do nothing but wonders for your programming and longevity.
The thing if you can throw numbers at a problem and quality numbers, that's something that's a positive, and especially when you're looking for defensive tackles that can hold up not just in the SEC, but also just when you're playing high level football as well. Justin, another kid that we wanted to get to, this is a good question from our guy living rent free in UT. Dalen McCutcheon, is he interested in Texas A&M? Saw he was at their game last weekend. We expect some Texas news to you broke some Texas news about McCutcheon. What's going on in that recruitment?
Yeah, so Dalen's looking around a little bit. And don't get it twisted. Texas kept the relationship going. As soon when he committed to Florida State, Chris Jackson had still maintained that relationship with Dalen. I think they really like each other. I think Texas really likes McCutcheon. And so he's looking around a little bit, and he's gonna go look at the 2 biggest in-state powers when you're committed to what are they 0-3 or they beat Cal?
They're 1-3. They overcame the coastal elites.
But yeah, they overcame the fighting Sterling Gilbert offense. So Dalen in Texas, let me tell you something. They've been doing this dance for a little while, ever since the summertime, even before that. There's always been a kind of closeness there, a close relationship there. I don't think he's that interested in Texas A&M. I think he's looking at options. I talked to somebody who knew him that went to that visit, and he's just kicking tires. Really, he's kind of see what's going on. There's a real bond there with Texas, and so he's coming in this weekend, and we're paying attention to that recruitment. We're monitoring that one because I think Texas makes a lot of sense here. I think they're going to try and get 4 in this class, at least 3, but they're going to try for 4 receivers. They got 2 5-stars. Dalen McCutcheon would be so complimentary to these 2 guys. Like, it is Charlie can tell you more. But I mean, it really is. It really does. It does make a lot of sense. I know I say that a lot, but it really does. And so McCutcheon's one that we're monitoring minute by minute right now because I think Texas is in a fantastic spot there. I think if he gets on campus and enjoys it, we could have something else to be talking about when we do this show next week. And so I don't think A&M is a threat. I just think Dalen's checking his options. And when he checks those options in Austin this weekend, I think he's going to find out that it's a nicer situation than Tallahassee.
One of the things that we mentioned earlier is that if you're a 2025 kid, you have a lot of the data, a lot of it, but you don't have all the data. So if you're looking at Florida State, DJU is going to be gone, and DJU looks like bad. He looks very bad. He looks terrible. They didn't trust Brock Glenn, right, enough to play him. Either that or he went to Mississippi State. I can't remember. One of the guys went to Mississippi State. The other guys they didn't trust to play. There's a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position in Tallahassee. There's not much uncertainty at the quarterback position in Austin. And even for 2025 guys. And to A&M's credit, although you said they're not really involved here, there's a little bit of a pecking order for the future at A&M. It's not the same as it is at Texas when you're thinking about quarterback. So I bet that
he can get on the field faster at A&M too than he can at Texas. Let's just be totally honest. He can get on the field faster. So it makes sense to check out A&M as well.
Yeah, and thanks to living free and rent T, Rodemaker transferred. That's a kid who's at Southern Miss. He's not going well for him there. Not going well for any former Florida State quarterback, it seems like. So 214TX Bronco, hit that like button. The Inside Texas guys are the best in the business. Thank you so much, 214TX Bronco. And again, like this video. Justin, here's another good one. 27 recruits in the 2025 class. What, they're at 20 or 21 right now?
God, I don't know how they're going to fit these in, man. I don't know. Like, it's so many things are.
Here's the thing.
Push. I'm pushing at 27.
I think that's a good way of looking at it because right now they just have to get in under the 85.
Right.
There's no 25 counter class. They're going to look in the portal. They are starting to see the positions where they're going to need portal guys. But at this point, like, probably take 27 and deal with the churn on your roster. Because, I mean, Charlie, looking back at your personnel experience, would y'all just at the beginning of a cycle understand that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys were going to leave no matter what y'all tried to do?
You got that, and then you got the ones that you're probably putting on the bubble that you say, hey, we're going to help you leave, and so you base your numbers off that. Like, hey, we're going to recruit this many guys because we're trying to replace them. So yeah, it's always talked about in the war room, moving people around, and so I'm sure Texas is doing the exact same thing. There's a number of guys I'm sure they want. Maybe some guys aren't playing. You suspect somebody's going to hit the portal every year. It's the way college football is now. So you kind of put those guys in the red and say, hey, this kid may be leaving, or maybe we want him to leave, and then you recruit based on that, trying to replace him. That's really just kind of how it goes.
Justin, one of the big visitors that is committed to Texas that we need to talk about, who's coming in a couple times over the next couple of weeks, is Jonah Williams. He has not taken his official visit yet. That's scheduled for a little bit later, about a month from now. But he's going to be making his way to Austin soon, correct?
He is. He's coming back. This is going to be his first trip back since the commitment ceremony down in Galveston. Anytime you can get one of the best players in the country back on campus, I think that's big. Jonah Williams is going to be in the house. Recruiting is still recruiting. Alabama and LSU have not let up on Jonah Williams. They're acting like he's not committed. So you're going to have to recruit this joker through the whistle. But Texas is doing everything on the field and off the field to make sure that Jonah stays in the class. I love getting these guys back on campus. I think each time a kid comes back for whatever reason, be it a game, a visit, whatever, I think it ensures them staying in the class. They connect a little bit more with not just players, recruits, but with players on the team. And Jonah's made friends with some of these guys on the team. And so getting Jonah Williams, you want him back on campus, get him around Texas, get him around all that good stuff, because Alabama's not letting up. LSU's not letting up. And I don't blame him. Jonah Williams is playing out of his mind right now in his senior year. I swear he reminds me of like a Kyle Hamilton. Like he is everywhere. And so, yeah, when you got a 5-star commit, you can be happy. When you get him to visit, let's see, a little bit happier. So get him back on campus. He'll be back for Texas and Georgia as well. That's when he's going to take his official. But he had told us a couple of days ago that he's going to be back for this weekend. First time back since claiming Hookem on during his commitment ceremony.
I'm going to play this play again just because it was – he is right there by the umpire on the right hash at about the 29-yard line. And here he goes. Whoosh, right there. Like that is some special burst. And he's about to do it right here again. Boom, coming down in the box, tackle, form tackle.
He gets
and that's
low.
Not including all the stuff that he does on offense too. Like this
Look
is
how big he is and how low he can get at that size.
Yeah, he's special, man.
Yeah, I think we've talked about how if he wanted to play receiver, he'd be a top 100 receiver as well.
Yes,
he's going the defense route, and the Texas defense is going to benefit greatly from it. Got a Twitter question, a good one from Justin. What's Terry waiting for? Why another visit to the Georgia game when he was just here?
Justin, excellent name. So I'm connecting with you. Terry's going to be ready when Michael Terry's ready. I know fans are eager and they want certain players to be eager and they want them to be ready at certain times, but it's still on their timeline. And Michael Terry is still, and his family are still going through the process. Do I think he's going to end up at Texas? Heck yeah. But Nebraska's not letting up. They've got a great sell. Oregon's still pushing. It looks like he's only going to take one more visit. It looks like that Texas-Georgia game is going to be the last time he takes a trip. Maybe we see something then. Give it another month. Just understand, Justin, just when you lay your head down at night and you want to, dream of stuff, just understand Michael Terry in Texas is in a great spot right now. And I don't see that changing. And so don't rush him. Let him go through the process. When you push kids earlier in cycles, that's why you see half of them decommit at the other part of the cycle. You can't push. And with Michael Terry, there's no need to. Sark has been great. A.J. Milwee has been tremendous. Chris Gilbert has been tremendous. Michael Terry in Texas, they look like that's going to happen. We just can't rush it, Justin. We got to do it on his time.
I'm with you there. Good question here or good comment here from a guy laces out, Mike. It's looting season on the Knowles 2025 class. Grab what you want and run. We talked about Dalen McCutcheon. Obviously, Texas has already flipped Myron Charles. And I'm looking through their class right now.
Javian Hilson, former commit.
That's one to keep track of. Kevin Wynn, another to keep track of.
Yeah.
That's kind of it when you're looking at that class. But Coach, when you think about Javian Hilson, someone who Texas had on campus and was really after before he decided to commit to the Knowles in June, what would he bring to an edge class that already is looking pretty stout with Smith Aragbo and Lance Jackson?
Man, he's going to bring a bunch of nightmares to future quarterbacks. Look, you talk about a big physical specimen this kid is, man. He's really physical off the edge. He's quick off the edge. He has strong hands. Like, he defeats blockers so fast and gets into the backfield. He's just another piece that you can add and rotate. We talked about it so many times with this team. People can rotate in, second string can rotate in, and production doesn't drop off. With the edges we already have, you bring this guy in with the other people, with Smith or Rodrigo. Look, like, honestly, when they rotate in, you're not going to miss production. They're not going to miss a beat when they come in. So they're getting kids like him is building like a true SEC roster. You don't even know the names on the back of the jerseys. The guys are just making plays, and this what this guy will be able to do if he comes to Texas.
Justin, he's supposed to be on campus for the Georgia game, correct?
Yes, he will be on campus for Texas and Georgia. Our Eric Nolene, our boy, put in an RPM. It looked like he did it at midnight on Saturday night or early Sunday morning. I couldn't remember because we were doing late night post-game stuff. But he feels good about that one. And I think the Texas-Georgia game could be the culmination of that recruitment.
This is a good one from Kenny Joe, and it makes sense. Do you guys think
Great
Texas
question.
made a mistake with KJ Lacey considering Keelan Russell is balling? It's very ironic that Texas got the kid from Alabama. Alabama got the kid from Texas who was at SMU. Charlie, what do you think of this one?
I'm not going to say Texas made a mistake. I trust Sark. I think all the fans should too, honestly. If he picks a signal caller to run his offense, I'm pretty sure he's done all of his homework. And I just trust Coach Sark, honestly, man. Honestly, you just have to roll with it. He hasn't steered us wrong. Everything he said, how he's going to turn a program around, everything he talked about the players, he felt like this is his best team. Like, everything is coming to fruition. So I just trust Sark. That's the easiest thing to say there.
Justin?
Tip your cap to Keelan Russell. That kid has mushroomed since springtime, and he has earned every bit of it. Great kid, great family, comes from a great program. I love Keelan Russell. I think he is going to be a really good quarterback in college. We were talking about that at the Under Armour event in Arlington back in the spring, where it's like the ball just explodes out of his hand. Again, Charlie said it. Let's trust Sark. He's done his homework. If he thinks Lacey's the guy, I am not going to sit here and act and be an armchair quarterback. That's not going to happen. Sark has the best quarterback room in college football. I am not arguing with any of that. Plus, KJ can spin it, fellas. Sark knows what KJ does really well. And don't forget, Sark does like the development part of playing quarterback. That's one of the reasons he brought in Malik Murphy. He loves the idea of fixing and twitching and fine-tuning. And so be happy with KJ Lacey, because I think he is an integral part to this 25 class. He's close to a lot of these recruits in the 25 cycle. Be happy with KJ and be happy that, and just be grateful that Keelan's doing his thing, and looks like it's going to be in Tallahassee.
One of the things or two things that I take solace in with KJ Lacey. Number one, Sark has won and succeeded and then recruited a number of different types of quarterbacks. Tua and Mac Jones were very different. And Sark recruited, pursued, wanted, brought in Bryce Young as well. Never got to coach him all that much, except for when Mac Jones was out of the game. But he has made use of a number of different types, sizes, styles of quarterback while in college. And, you've got Quinn, who is masterful at the short and intermediate stuff, pretty good at the long ball. You got Arch, who could be great at everything. You've got could be, but is not right now. You got Trey Owens, who has got a lot of different intangibles, maybe a longer curve, could play a similar game, maybe not the same quality as Arch, but a similar game. He can make Lacey work in this offense. The other thing is Ryan Williams is now in Alabama, and he is balling out. And while Lacey's numbers, at least kind of comparatively, have dipped a little bit, he's still passing for touchdowns for Saraland. He's still not turning the ball over. He's averaging, more yards per game this year than he was with Ryan Williams on his team when he was making runs to state championship games. So, you'd probably want to see a little bit better completion percentage. It's down 10 points from 70 to 60, but it's still a little bit different. And again, as Roaster says, in Sark you trust when it comes to.
And also with Lacey, this is something I remember about KJ Lacey. Remember all the schools that have been coming at him for 6 months to flip him? Remember all the trips Auburn tried to get him in to try to flip him? He's been loyal. I think Sark rewards that. I think that's one of his pillar things with the culture at Texas right now. And that's another reason I'm a big Lacey fan. There were times where, Arch is going to be the quarterback, Quinn this year and Arch for 2 years. You may not see, and then Trey, when would Lacey play? Lacey stayed loyal, and I think Sark rewards that.
I'm with you. Anything from any of the big visitors that we're anticipating being on campus in the next couple of weeks? Is there one guy either of y'all are paying big attention to when it comes to the visitor list for Georgia, for Mississippi State, for any of those games?
You put me on the spot. I mean, there's a few of them. Go ahead.
I'll give you one. I'm going to say if Joseph Mbacho comes back, I think that's a real important one. When he comes back, that's an important one because, I can look at that ranking but I'm also looking at 6'5", 280. And if a guy hadn't been playing football too long and is 6'5", 280 and doesn't have to play right away, he's going to be okay. You don't see those guys very often. And if you're taking a large class, he fits in there. He can be the developmental guy. Yeah. Could be great. So any other big visitors y'all are thinking of?
We've mentioned them already, but closing the deal with Michael Terry III, closing the deal with Javian Hilson. They may not be the big names everyone maybe they want something new, a different name, a shiny new name. I think those are the ones. That's what's important about Texas Georgia, is not just that, but all the 26s that are coming in, because Texas is in a great spot with so many of the best players in the country. Coach has been all over John Turntime. I expect him to be back in for Texas Georgia. Javian Osborne is number one on the offensive big board, number one running back in the country. He's coming back for another trip. He's already seen Texas twice this year, once in Ann Arbor. That's a long trip to go watch the Horns. Thank you, J.O. But so I think really, though, the Texas-Georgia game is going to be about coffee and closing guys like Michael Terry and Javian Hilson and those guys solidifying 2025. There's going to be 60, 70 guys on the sidelines for Texas-Georgia. So you can ask that question again at the same time next week, and we may have a different answer.
I'm with y'all there. And to get all the info, make sure you use promo code IT1 to get 2 months of Inside Texas for just $1. It is a place to be. And of course, if you're watching this video, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel. We got a lot of great stuff coming. Daily show in the morning. We're going to have some stuff Wednesday night. We'll have some Thursday morning stuff, and we'll have our Friday roundtable. And we'll, of course, have our pre and post game show and the Sunday one. So, before we get out of here, Roaster.
We got to get Roaster.
The buzzer beater. Favorite defensive tackle out of Georgia that Texas has a chance with.
I know my answer, but I want to hear Coach's.
Dang, that's tough. You definitely just put me on the spot. My favorite? Man, I don't know, Justin. I think I'm gonna let you go first. I'm trying to think.
Walter Mathis. It is the analog to Brandon Brown. If you really liked Brandon Brown, you're going to love Walter Mathis. Yeah. That's a guy that is disruptive. That's a guy that brings a certain type of energy, certain type of anger to the field. That's a guy that would probably be my favorite when it comes to, I mean, all of them are really good with upside, but that one's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that. I actually just got through talking to Big Walter, man. And he just responded back to me. So, yeah, I'll probably go Big. Yeah, that's a big, yeah.
Hey, I do want to answer this for Justin also. Any visitors for the Red River Shootout? Oklahoma's hosting this year. So they're the home team this year. Yep. So they get to host guys. Now, we've seen in the last few years, Oklahoma recruits walk over to the Texas side.
Colton
Bosick, the Micah Hudson. Those have been fun recruitments as they took place in that game the last few years. But Oklahoma's hosting this year, so it's going to be an Oklahoma game where they can host recruits, Justin.
Should be a good one. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.